Oh my gosh, guys, I cannot believe I'm sitting down and making this video. I'm pregnant. I'm actually 22 weeks pregnant. By the time you guys watch this video, I'll probably be 23 weeks pregnant. It's probably been a good 4 years since I've made any strictly motherhood related content. As you guys know, my videos are usually based on travel and trip itineraries, and those are all the things that I love doing, but right now with COVID, that's kind of been put to a stop, and like I said, I'm pregnant. So I figured I would sit down and try to film a pregnancy update video with you guys, and as you can tell, I'm a little bit out of breath. That's, I guess, a pregnancy symptom for you right there. So like I just said, I am currently 22 weeks pregnant, and I just have a bunch of random thoughts that I am going to share with you guys about symptoms I'm having, sleep, size of the baby, ultrasound appointments, being pregnant during COVID, all of those things. So I hope you like this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Let's get right into it. All right, so let's start with some of the things that you'll find out through the baby app. I currently am using the What to Expect app and the Bump app. Although since this is baby number 2, I will admit that I am not nearly as fanatical about this as I was during my first pregnancy. I think overall I'm just a little bit more chill and go with the flow with pregnancy number 2. But according to the baby app, the baby is currently the size of a coconut and weighs right at about 1 pound. And I did have an ultrasound last week, and she confirmed that the baby is weighing in right at 1 pound. Now, going back to that ultrasound appointment, you usually have an anatomy scan somewhere between 18 and 20 weeks. And I think I had that right at 19 weeks. They did see a couple of things that they were a little bit worried about. One of them being a little bit of excess fluid in one of the kidneys, and another thing being that my placenta was quite low-lying, not covering the cervix, but fairly low. So they just wanted to send me to a specialist and have that looked at again. So we actually traveled to Germany to see some family between, I think, weeks 20 and 22. So I did that appointment right when I came back, and thankfully everything was fine. You know, they did all their measurements again. They said that with fluid in the kidneys, it's one of those things that fluctuates because the baby is peeing in there right now. So they're looking at a specific amount of, I think, milliliters inside the kidney, and everything was right on track. My placenta has also moved up higher, which is great, and my OB-GYN said probably would happen. So I was really relieved to have a great ultrasound appointment. Now, they did take pictures during that appointment, but they weren't the best pictures. But I did get a really cute 4D picture when I went for my regular anatomy scan. So if you look at that, you can see it's kind of a little bit of a profile of the face. You can see the eyes, the nose, and the lips. And I just thought that this one looked really cute. Every ultrasound appointment that I've had so far, they've said that the baby is really, really active, which makes me wonder if this is going to be like typical baby number 2. Like everybody says that the first child is kind of, calm and listens really well, and the second child is just like light the house on fire, essentially. So that will be really interesting to see. And speaking of movement, so I've been feeling the baby, I don't want to over-exaggerate, but I want to say that I felt the first little popcorn pops or butterflies or whatever you want to call it at 14 weeks. It was really, really early. It was really faint. But I think that once that you've been pregnant, you kind of know what it feels like. And I don't know what else it could have been. And it was down super, super low, which, that's not necessarily where your stomach or your intestines usually rumble. So I have been feeling the baby for quite some time, but now that I'm 22 weeks, I'm definitely feeling the baby more often. But what's super interesting to me is that all these movements are down really low. They're all below my belly button, really close to my pubic bone area, which with Sophie, I remember that she always felt like she was up in between my ribs since really early on. So to feel something so low is interesting. And that was one thing that I was really paying attention to at the anatomy scan is where the technician was saying her head is and where like her feet are. And I know it doesn't stay in the same spot this early on, but the baby's definitely lower than Sophie was. Now, the other thing with the movement is I'm not feeling it like 24/7 or anything like that. It's usually when I go to bed and I lay flat on my back. I think that you can just tell like she doesn't like all the pressure that's being put on her. That's the only way that I can explain it. And it's kind of almost like more movements when she's being like, hey, you need to switch positions. I don't like this, more so than anything else. And also the few times that I've had caffeine, like if I've let myself have like a Coke or, you know, a tea that has caffeine in it or anything, I do actually feel her moving around then. And I think I just spilled the beans. I probably should have said this at the beginning, but we are having a little girl. So if you've been around here for a while, you know that we have a 5-year-old named Sophie. She will be 6 in December. And baby number 2 is also a girl. So I am 35 years old, so it's considered a geriatric pregnancy. I had to do a lot of blood work from the get-go because of that, and therefore they were able to determine the sex quite early on. So I think we found out right at, I don't know, 15 or 16 weeks is when we did our little gender reveal. We found out that we were having a girl, and I could not be more excited. I love the idea of sisters. Sophie is so excited. I'm actually gonna, let me insert some footage right here of the gender reveal, and you can just watch her. Yeah, so that was just like the sweetest moment. She wants to share rooms with the baby. She wants to do all the things. So it is quite a big age difference. That's just because we weren't sure that we wanted to have a second child, but I definitely am not mad about the age difference because I know that Sophie is actually going to be a huge help to us in these coming months. Now, as far as some other just like typical pregnancy symptoms that I've been having now that I'm well into the second trimester, sleeping, I wake up quite a few times a night because I have to go pee, which I think is really typical. Also, I think because the baby is so low, she really likes to kick into my bladder, or she's leaning on my bladder. I have no idea what's happening in there, but I have to pee a lot. So that's probably my number one symptom. Tiredness. I mean, nothing like the first trimester. The first trimester, I thought I was going to die, which is why I've been so MIA here on YouTube. I just could not be bothered to do anything other than the bare necessities. But sleep has been, it's been okay, but, you know, I do wake up quite often. The other thing is that because I think the baby is so low, I've been feeling a little bit of pressure down low, which is new for me. I don't know that I've felt that before, and I've had to take heartburn medicine a couple of times because I have felt severe heartburn if I've eaten like severe amount of junk food or sweets or something like that. But other than that, I cannot complain. I am feeling good. Now, as far as me and my weight gain, so I believe so far I have gained right around 11 or 12 pounds since the beginning of pregnancy. It seems like way more just because of the size of my belly, and my belly got huge really, really fast, which was something that I was a little bit insecure about because y'all know how people are, you know, as far as asking like, oh, how far along are you? You look like you're about to pop. And I'm like, I'm barely halfway. So that's been interesting, but I actually think 12 pounds is right on track. I'm a little bit more than halfway. As long as I don't go off the rails, I think we'll be okay. I think with Sophie, I gained about 28 pounds total, which was just fine. Now, the last thing that I'm going to talk to you guys about quite vaguely is names. So my name is Sarah, my husband's name is Stefan, and my daughter's name is Sophie. And so we're going to stick with the S names. And with it being another girl, you know, we've been really trying to rack our brains with an S name. The other thing that we always really want to keep in mind is the fact that my husband is German, I am half German, so a lot of our family does still live in Germany. So we really want it to be a name that you can say very similarly in both languages. So Sophie was perfect because Sophie is Sophie in English and it's Sophie in German, so it sounds very similar. There's no confusion for her when her grandma is saying her name or something like that. So we're really hoping to find a name that ticks all of those boxes. So I think we've got it narrowed down to 2 or 3 that we really, really like, but if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. All right guys, so that's it for my 22-week pregnancy update. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave me some feedback down below. Do you want me to do more of these? I'm definitely not going to be doing them weekly, but I would not be opposed to maybe doing 2 or 3 more as we get closer. This is definitely new territory for me, but sit-down videos are pretty easy to make, so let me know, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!